Form 4 at Maths, past years, SPM. Question, SPM 2010. For TikTok, lesson more than 10 minutes is done in two parts. Step 1, collect. Diagram 4 shows the graph of quadratic function y equals to fx. So we are given the graph, we go to the graph and complete the diagram. We have 3 points, which is the point on x-axis, the x-coordinate is 3, and we learn from lower secondary that the point on x-axis, the y must be 0. Okay, and the x-coordinate of course is 3. Another point, -1, is on the x-axis, therefore the y-coordinate 0, and the x-coordinate of course is -1. The third point is on the y-axis, therefore the x-coordinate must be 0, and the y-coordinate of course is 5, so the y-coordinate 5. So we have labeled the coordinates of all 3 points. On x-coordinate, the y is 0. On the y-coordinate, the x is 0. Now we look at the question. Part A. State the roots of the equation fx equals to 0. So I'm going to start as usual from what they asked. I'm going here. This is part A. Find the roots for fx equals to 0. Okay. Now we know that roots are actually values of quadratic equation. Roots are values of quadratic equation. But we are given quadratic function. Over here, y equals fx. So we are given quadratic function y equals to fx. And also we are given that this fx is equals to 0. So now this fx given equals to 0. So now the y, which is equals to fx, is equals to 0. And this part, fx equals to 0, has become quadratic equation. It has become quadratic equation. That means the quadratic function, it became quadratic equation because it was equal 0. So here we have two things. The y equals fx equals 0, which means the y is equals to 0. So if the y is equals to 0, we will go to the graph where the y is 0, y2 0, y1 0. And when the y2 0, the x2 is 3. When the y1 is 0, the x1 is -1, which means when the y is 0, from the points, the x1 is 1 and the x2 is 3. Remember, when the y is 0, it is the x coordinate, y0, x3, y0, x -1. So our answer, remember, the values of x, -1, 3 are the roots. So we got our roots -1 and 3. That is the first part, our answer. Now we look at the second part. The question is asking, find the equation of the axis of symmetry of the curve. The question is asking, part B, find equation of axis of symmetry. I am using the symbol AOS, axis of symmetry, for the quadratic equation. Find the equation of axis of symmetry for the quadratic equation. From the notes we learned that quadratic function in the shape of U, it has a minimum point with coordinate xy, and the vertical line through the minimum point is the axis of symmetry. Or if the quadratic function is the shape of n, it has a maximum point with coordinate xy, and the vertical line through the maximum point is the axis of symmetry. So for both graph shape U and shape N, the vertical line through the minimum or maximum point is the axis of symmetry. And we learn from the notes that the equation of the axis of symmetry, is actually the x coordinate. It is the x coordinate of the maximum or minimum point. That means if here, let us say the x coordinate is 3. So the equation is x equals 3 for the axis of symmetry. Let us say the x coordinate is 5. That means this equation of the axis of symmetry is x equals to 5. That is, the x coordinate of the minimum point, x3, equation of axis of symmetry is 3. The x coordinate of the maximum point is 5. The equation of axis of symmetry is 5. These are just examples that I've done for you. So I'm going to actually rub it off. This example all. Now we will go to the question. But the problem is, this x coordinate of the maximum or minimum point is only obtained by completing the square of the quadratic function. The x coordinate of maximum minimum point is obtained by completing the square of the quadratic function. But in this question, that quadratic function is not given. So if the quadratic function is not given, we must use a property of axis of symmetry, which I go back here. For this axis of symmetry, it will divide the line into two equal parts. So this part equal to this part. And for this axis of symmetry, it will divide the graph into two equal parts because it is symmetry. So this part and this part, the length is same. This part and this part, the length is same. We are going to use this property that the axis of symmetry divide the graph into two equal parts. So here I have drawn back the graph, the original graph, where we had the curve of the shape of n given, and this was -1, this was +3, and this is the maximum point. This is our maximum point. We know that the axis of symmetry, it must go through the maximum or minimum point. Okay, now if you watch carefully, I'm going to complete the diagram. Okay, watch. From here to here, this is 1, the length is 1. From the 0 to 3, the length is 3. So the total length between -1 and 3, the total length, let me rub this off first. The total length between -1 and 3 is actually 1 plus 3, which is 4. That is the total length. And we know that this axis of symmetry will divide the graph into two equal parts. Okay? I'm just going to shade this, which means this part and this part must be equal. That means here, 4 divide this will be 2, and this will be 2. So now we can get the answer for axis of symmetry equation. If the whole thing is 4, and from here to here, this is 2, and then from here to here, this is also 2. That means this is 2, and this is also 2. So what I do, first I take the -1 plus 2, I'm going to get here 1. The x coordinate is 1. Or I can do what? I take the 3, I minus the 2, I still get the 1. So we got two options. Either you take the -1, you plus the 2, at this point, they are going to get x1. Or you take the 3 minus the 2, 3 minus 2, again, this x point is 1. And I said just now, the x coordinate is the equation of axis of symmetry. So now the x coordinate is 1. Which means this maximum point, it is x coordinate, its x coordinate is 1. So this point, xy, the x coordinate is 1. We don't know the y coordinate. So the x is 1 is the equation. It is the equation of axis of symmetry. Equation, sorry for that. It is the equation of axis of symmetry, which is our answer. Thank you. I see you on the next lesson.